Act II of Manfred. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Manfred, by Lord Byron. Act II. Scene 1. A cottage among the Bernese Alps. Manfred and the chamois hunter.
No, no, yet pause. Thou must not yet go forth. Thy mind and body are alike unfit to trust each other for some hours at least. When thou art better, I will be thy guide. But whither?
It imports not. I do know my route full well, and need no further guidance.
Thy garb and gait bespeak thee of high lineage, one of the many chiefs whose castled crags look o'er the lower valleys. Which of these may call thee lord? I only know their portals. My way of life leads me but rarely down to bask by the huge hearths of those old halls, carousing with the vassals. But the paths which step from out our mountains to their doors, I know from childhood. Which of these is thine?
No matter.
Well, sir, pardon me the question, and be of better cheer. Come, taste my wine. 'Tis of an ancient vintage. Many a day it has thawed my veins among glaciers. Now let it do thus for thine. Come, pledge me fairly.
Away, away! There's blood on the brim. Will it then never, never sink in the earth?
What dost thou mean? Thy senses wander from thee.
I say 'tis blood, my blood, the pure warm stream which ran in the veins of my fathers, and in ours when we were in our youth, and had one heart, and loved each other as we should not love, and thus was shed. But still it rises up, colouring the clouds that shut me out from heaven, where thou art not, and I shall never be.
Man of strange words, and some half-maddening sin, which makes thee people vacancy. Whatever thy dread and sufferance be, there's comfort yet, the aid of holy men, and heavenly patience.
Patience and patience! Hence! That word was made for brutes of burden, not for birds of prey. Preach it to mortals of a dust like thine. I am not of thine order.
Thanks to heaven! I would not be of thine for the free fame of William Tell. But whatsoever thine ill, it must be borne, and these wild starts are useless.
Do I not bear it? Look on me. I live.
This is convulsion, and no healthful life.
I tell thee, man, I have lived many years, many long years. But they are nothing now to those which I must number. Ages, ages, space and eternity, and consciousness with the fierce thirst of death, and still unslaked.
Why, on thy brow the seal of middle age hath scarce been set. I am thine elder far.
Thinkest thou existence doth depend on time? It doth. But actions are our epochs. Mine have made days and nights imperishable, endless, and all alike, as sands on the shore, innumerable atoms, and one desert, barren and cold, on which the wild waves break, but nothing rests save carcasses and wrecks, rocks, and the salt surf weeds of bitterness.
Alas, he's mad, and yet I must not leave him.
I would I were, for then the things I see would be but a distempered dream.
What is it that thou dost see, or think thou lookest upon?
Myself. And thee, a peasant of the Alps, thy humble virtues, hospitable home, and a spirit patient, pious, proud, and free, thy self-respect grafted on innocent thoughts, thy days of health and nights of sleep, thy toils, by danger dignified, yet guiltless, hopes of a cheerful old age, and a quiet grave, with cross and garland over its green turf, and thy grandchildren's love for epitaph. This do I see, and then I look within. It matters not. My soul was scorched already.
And wouldest thou then exchange thy lot for mine?
No, friend, I would not wrong thee, nor exchange my lot with living being. I can bear, however wretchedly, 'tis still to bear. In life what others could not brook to dream, but perish in their slumber.
And with this cautious feeling for another's pain, canst thou be black with evil? Say not so. Can one of gentle thoughts have wreaked vengeance upon his enemies?
Oh, no, no, no. My injuries came down on those who loved me, on those whom I best loved. I never quelled an enemy, save in my just defence. But my embrace was fatal.
Heaven give thee rest, and penitence restore thee to thyself. My prayers shall be for thee.
I need them not, but can endure thy pity. I depart. 'Tis time. Farewell. Here's gold, and thanks for thee. No words, it is thy due. Follow me not, I know my path. The mountain's perils past, and once again I charge thee, follow not.
Exit Manfred. Scene 2. A lower valley in the Alps. A cataract. Enter Manfred.
It is not noon. The sunbow's rays still arch the torrent with the many hues of heaven, and roll the sheeted silver's waving column o'er the crags headlong perpendicular, and fling its lines of foaming light along and to and fro, like the pale courser's tail, the giant steed, to be bestrode by death, as told in the Apocalypse. No eyes but mine now drink this sight of loveliness. I should be soul in this sweet solitude, and with the spirit of the place divided the homage of these waters. I will call her.
Manfred takes some of the water into the palm of his hand and flings it into the air, muttering the adjuration. After a pause, the Witch of the Alps rises beneath the arch of the sunbow of the torrent.
Beautiful spirit, with thy hair of light and dazzling eyes of glory, in whose form the charms of earth's least mortal daughters grow to an unearthly stature, in an essence of purer elements, while the hues of youth, carnationed like a sleeping infant's cheek, rocked by the beating of a mother's heart, or the rose tints, which summer's twilight leaves upon the lofty glacier's virgin snow, the blush of earth embracing with her heaven, tinge thy celestial aspect, and make tame the beauties of the sunbow which bends o'er thee. Beautiful spirit, in thy calm, clear brow, wherein is glassed serenity of soul, which of itself shows immortality, I read that thou wilt pardon to a son of earth, whom the abstruser powers permit at times to commune with them, if that he avail himself of his spells, to call thee thus, and gaze on thee a moment.
Son of earth, I know thee, and the powers which give thee power. I know thee for a man of many thoughts, and deeds of good and ill, extreme in both, fatal and fated in thy sufferings. I have expected this, What wouldst thou with me?
To look upon thy beauty, nothing further. The face of earth hath maddened me, and I take refuge in her mysteries, and pierce to the abodes of those who govern her. But they can nothing aid me. I have sought from them what they could not bestow, and now I search no further.
What could be the quest which is not in the power of the most powerful, the rulers of the invisible?
A boon? But why should I repeat it? 'Twere in vain.
I know not that. Let thy lips utter it.
Well, though it torture me, 'tis but the same. My pangs shall find a voice. From my youth upwards my spirit walked not with the souls of men, nor looked upon the earth with human eyes. The thirst of their ambition was not mine. The aim of their existence was not mine. My joys, my griefs, my passions, and my powers made me a stranger. Though I wore the form, I had no sympathy with breathing flesh, nor midst the creatures of clay that girded me was there but one who... But of her anon. I said with men, and with the thoughts of men I held but slight communion, but instead my joy was in the wilderness, to breathe the difficult air of the iced mountain's top, wherein the birds dare not build, nor insects' wings flit o'er the herbless granite, or to plunge into the torrent, and to roll along on the swift whirl of the new breaking wave of river stream, or ocean in their flow. In these my early strength exulted, to follow through the night the moving moon, the stars, and their development, or catch the dazzling lightnings till my eyes grew dim, or to look, listening, on the scattered leaves, while autumn winds were at their evening song. These were my pastimes, and to be alone, for if the beings of which I was one, hating to be so, crossed me in my path, I felt myself degraded back to them, and was all clay again. I then dived in my lone wanderings into the caves of death, searching its cause in its effects, and drew from withered bones and skulls and heaped up dust conclusions most forbidden. Then I passed the nights of years in sciences untaught, save in the old time, and with time and toil and terrible ordeal, and such penance as in itself hath power upon the air, and spirits that do compass air and earth, space, and the peopled infinite. I made mine eyes familiar with eternity, such as before me did the Magi, and he who from out their fountain dwellings raised Eros and Anteros at Gadara, as I do thee. And with my knowledge grew the thirst of knowledge, and the power and joy of this most bright intelligence, until...
Proceed.
Oh, but I thus prolong my words, boasting these idle attributes, because as I approach the core of my heart's grief, but to my task, I have not named to thee father or mother, mistress, friend, or being, with whom I wore the chain of human ties. If I had such, they seemed not such to me. Yet there was one.
Spare not thyself. Proceed.
She was like me in lineaments, her eyes, her hair, her features, all, to the very tone even of her voice, they said were like to mine, but softened all, and tempered into beauty. She had the same lone thoughts and wanderings, the quest of hidden knowledge, and a mind to comprehend the universe. Nor these alone, but with them gentler powers than mine. Pity, and smiles, and tears, which I had not, and tenderness, but that I had for her. Humility, and that I never had. Her faults were mine, her virtues were her own. I loved her, and destroyed her.
With thy hand?
Not with the hand, but heart, which broke her heart. It gazed on mine, and withered. I have shed blood, but not hers, and yet her blood was shed. I saw, and could not staunch it.
And for this, a being of the race thou dost despise, the order which thine own would rise above, mingling with us and ours, thou dost forego the gifts of our great knowledge, and shrinkest back to recreant mortality. Away!
Daughter of air, I tell thee since that hour, but words a breath. Look on me in my sleep, or watch my watchings. Come and sit by me. My solitude is solitude no more, but peopled with the Furies. I have gnashed my teeth in darkness till returning morn, then cursed myself till sunset. I have prayed for madness as a blessing. 'Tis denied me. I have affronted death, but in the war of elements the waters shrunk from me, and fatal things passed harmless. The cold hand of an all-pitiless demon held me back by a single hair which would not break. In fantasy, imagination, all the affluence of my soul, which one day was Acacious in creation, I plunged deep, but like an ebbing wave, it dashed me back into the gulf of my unfathomed thought. I plunged amidst mankind. Forgetfulness I sought in all, save where 'tis to be found, and that I have to learn. My sciences, my long-pursued and superhuman art is mortal here. I dwell in my despair, and live forever.
It may be that I can aid thee.
Do what is in thy power. Wake the dead, or lay me low with them. Do so in any shape, in any hour, with any torture, so it be the last.
That is not in my province. But if thou wilt swear obedience to my will, and do my bidding, it may help thee to thy wishes.
I will not swear. Obey? And whom? The spirits whose presence I command? And be the slave of those who serve me? Never!
Is this all? Hast thou no gentler answer? Yet bethink thee, and pause ere thou rejectest.
I have said it.
Enough. I may retire then. Say.
Retire.
The witch disappears.
We are the fools of time and terror. They steal on us, and steal from us. We live, loathing our life, and dreading still to die. In all the days of this detested yoke, this vital weight upon the struggling heart, which sinks with sorrow, or beats quick with pain, or joy that ends in agony or faintness, in all the days of past and future. For in life there is no present. We can number how few, how less than few, wherein the soul forbears to pant for death, and yet draws back, as from a stream in winter, though the chill be but a moment's. I have one resource still in my science, I can call the dead, and ask them what it is we dread to be. The sternest answer can be but the grave, and that is nothing. If they answer not, the buried prophet answered to the hag of Endor, and the Spartan monarch drew from the Byzantine maid's unsleeping spirit an answer, and his destiny. He slew that which he loved, unknowing what he slew, and died unpardoned. Though he called in aid the Phyrexian Jove, and in Phargalia rose the Arcadian evocators, to compel the indignant shadow to dispose her wrath, or fix her term of vengeance. She replied in words of dubious import, but fulfilled. If I had never lived, that which I love had still been living. Had I never loved, that which I love would still be beautiful, happy, and giving happiness. What is she? What is she now? A sufferer for my sins. A thing I dare not think upon, or nothing. Within a few hours I shall not call in vain, yet in this hour I dread the thing I dare. Until this hour I never shrunk to gaze on spirit, good or evil. Now I tremble, and feel the strange cold thaw upon my heart. But can I act even what I most abhor, and champion human fears? The night approaches.
Scene 3. The summit of the Jungfrau mountain. Enter first Destiny.
The moon is rising broad and round and bright, and here on snows where never human foot of common mortal trod, we nightly tread, and leave no traces. O'er the savage sea, the glassy ocean of the mountain ice, we skim its rugged breakers, which put on the aspect of a tumbling tempest's foam, frozen in a moment, a dead whirlpool's image. And this most steep fantastic pinnacle, the fretwork of some earthquake, where the clouds pause to repose themselves in passing by, is sacred to our revels, or our vigils. Here do I wait my sisters, on our way to the hall of Erimenes, for to-night is our great festival. 'Tis strange they come not.
The captive usurper, hurled down from the throne, lay buried in torpor, forgotten and alone. I broke through his slumbers, I shivered his chain, I leagued him with numbers, he's tyrant again. With the blood of a million he'll answer my care, with a nation's destruction, his flight and despair.
The ship sailed on, the ship sailed fast, but I left not a sail, and I left not a mast. There is not a plank of the hull or the deck, and there is not a wretch to lament o'er his wreck, save one whom I held as he swam by the hair, and he was a subject well worthy my care, a traitor on land and a pirate at sea, but I saved him to wreak further havoc for me.
The city lies sleeping, the morn to deplore it made dawn on it weeping. Sullenly, slowly, the black plague flew o'er it. Thousands lie lowly. Tens of thousands shall perish. The living shall fly from the sick they should cherish, but nothing can vanquish the touch that they die from. Sorrow and anguish, and evil and dread, envelop a nation. The blessed are the dead, who see not the sight of their own desolation. This work of a night, this wreck of a realm, this deed of my doing, for ages I've done, and shall still be renewing.
Enter the second and third Destinies.
Our hands contain the hearts of men, our footsteps are their graves. We only give to take again the spirits of our slaves.
Welcome. Where's Nemesis?
At some great work, but what I know not, for my hands were full.
Behold, she cometh.
Enter Nemesis.
Say, where hast thou been? My sisters and thyself are slow to-night.
I was detained repairing shattered thrones, marrying fools, restoring destinies, avenging men upon their enemies, and making them repent their own revenge, goading the wise to madness, from the dull shaping out oracles to rule the world afresh, for they were waxing out of date, and mortals dared to ponder for themselves, to weigh kings in the balance, and to speak of freedom the forbidden fruit. Away, we have outstayed the hour. Mount we our clouds.
Scene 4. The Hall of Arimanes. Arimanes on his throne, a globe of fire, surrounded by the spirits. Hymn of the Spirits.
Hail to our Master, Prince of earth and air, who walks the clouds and waters, in his hand the sceptre of the elements, which tear themselves to chaos at his high command. He breatheth, and a tempest shakes the sea. He speaketh, and the clouds reply in thunder. He gazeth, from his glance the sunbeams flee. He moveth, earthquakes rend the world asunder. Beneath his footsteps the volcanoes rise. His shadow is the pestilence, his path the comets herald through the crackling skies, and planets turn to ashes at his wrath. To him war offers daily sacrifice, to him death pays his tribute. Life is his, with all its infinite of agonies, and his the spirit of whatever is.
Enter the Destinies and Nemesis.
Glory to Arimanes. On the earth his power increaseth. Both my sisters did his bidding, nor did I neglect my duty.
Glory to Arimanes! We who bow, the necks of men, bow down before his throne.
Glory to Arimanes, we await his nod.
Sovereign of sovereigns, we are thine, and all that liveth, more or less, is ours, and most things wholly so. Still, to increase our power, increasing thine, demands our care, and we are vigilant. Thy late commands have been fulfilled to the utmost.
Enter Manfred.
What is here? A mortal? Thou most rash and fatal wretch, bow down and worship.
I do know the man, a Magian of great power and fearful skill.
Bow down and worship, slave. What, knowest thou not thine and our sovereign? Tremble and obey.
Prostrate thyself, and lie condemned in clay, child of the earth, or dread the worst.
I know it, and yet ye see I kneel not.
'Twill be taught thee.
'Tis taught already. Many a night on earth, on the bare ground I have bowed down my face, and strewn my head with ashes. I have known the fullness of humiliation, for I sunk before my vain despair, and knelt to my own desolation.
Dost thou dare refuse to Arimanes on his throne what the whole earth accords, beholding not the terror of his glory? Crouch, I say.
Bid him bow down to that which is above him, the overruling infinite, the Maker, who made him not for worship. Let him kneel, and we shall kneel together.
Crush the worm, tear him in pieces.
Hence, avaunt! He's mine. Prince of the powers invisible, this man is of no common order, as his port and presence here denote. His sufferings have been of an immortal nature, like our own. His knowledge and his powers and will, as far as is compatible with clay, which clogs the ethereal essence, have been such as clay hath seldom borne. His aspirations have been beyond the dwellers of the earth, and they have only taught him what we know, that knowledge is not happiness, and science but an exchange of ignorance for that which is another kind of ignorance. This is not all. The passions, attributes of earth and heaven, from which no power, nor being, nor breath from the worm upwards is exempt, have pierced his heart, and in their consequence made him a thing, which I who pity not, yet pardon those who pity. He is mine, and thine it may be it so or not. No other spirit in this region hath a soul like his, or power upon his soul.
What doth he here then?
Let him answer that.
You know what I have known, and without power I could not be amongst ye. But there are powers deeper still beyond. I come in quest of such, to answer unto what I seek.
What wouldest thou?
Thou canst not reply to me. Call up the dead. My question is for them.
Great Arimenes, doth thy will avouch the wishes of this mortal?
Yea.
Whom wouldest thou uncharnel?
One without a tomb. Call up Astarte.
Shadow or spirit, whatever thou art, which still doth inherit, the whole or a part, of the form of thy birth, of the mould of thy clay, which return to the earth, reappear to the day, bear what thou borest, the heart and the form, and the aspect thou worest, redeem from the worm. Appear, appear, appear. Who sent thee there requires thee here.
The phantom of Astarte rises and stands in the midst.
Can this be death? There's bloom on her cheek. But now I see it is no living hue, but a strange heretic, like the unnatural red which autumn plants upon the perished leaf. It is the same, O God, that I should dread to look upon the same. Astarte! No, I cannot speak to her, but bid her speak. Forgive me, or condemn me.
By the power which hath broken the grave which enthralled thee, speak to him who hath spoken, or those who have called thee.
She is silent, and in that silence I am more than answered.
My power extends no further. Prince of air, it rests with thee alone. Command her voice.
Spirit, obey this sceptre.
Silence still. She is not of our order, but belongs to the other powers. Mortal, thy quest is vain, and we are baffled also.
Hear me, Astarte, my beloved, speak to me. I have so much endured. Look on me. The grave hath not changed thee more than I am changed for thee. Thou lovest me too much, as I love thee. We were not made to torture thus each other. Though it were the deadliest sin to love as we have loved. Say that thou loathest me not, that I do bear this punishment for both, that I will be one of the blessed, and that I shall die. For hitherto all hateful things conspire to bind me in existence. In a life which makes me shrink from immortality, a future like the past, I cannot rest. I know not what I ask, nor what I seek. I feel but what thou art and what I am, and I would hear yet once before I perish the voice which was my music. Speak to me, for I have called on thee in the still night, startling the slumbering birds from the hushed boughs, and woke the mountain wolves, and made caves acquainted with thy vainly echoed name, which answered me. Many things answered me, spirits and men, but thou wert silent all. Yet speak to me. I have outwatched the stars, and gazed o'er heaven in vain in search of thee. Speak to me. I have wandered o'er the earth, and never found thy likeness. Speak to me. Look on the fiends around. They feel for me. I fear them not, and feel for thee alone. Speak to me, though it be in wrath. But say, I reck not what, but let me hear thee once. This once. Once more.
Manfred.
Say on, say on. I live but in the sound. It is thy voice.
Manfred, tomorrow ends thine earthly ills. Farewell.
Yet one word more. Am I forgiven?
Farewell.
Say, shall we meet again?
Farewell.
One word for mercy. Sayest thou lovest me?
Manfred.
The spirit of Astarte disappears.
She's gone, and will not be recalled. Her words will be fulfilled. Return to the earth.
He is convulsed. This is to be a mortal, and seek the things beyond mortality.
Yet see, he mastereth himself, and makes his torture tributary to his will. Had he been one of us, he would have made an awful spirit.
Hast thou further question of our great sovereign or his worshippers?
None.
Then for a time farewell.
We meet then? Where? On the earth? Even as thou wilt. For the grace accorded, I now depart a debtor. Fare ye well.
Exit Manfred. Scene closes. End of Act 2.